Good morning, everyone. My name is Nana Heron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And I'm here today with our weekly Tangle, which we're still on number 14. I'm still recovering slowly. So we're just going to take it one day at a time. And I thought we'd do something simple this week. It's called Bumper by Zentangle. And Bumper is a lot like Locar, which we've done before, but it's just like half of Locar. So this should be pretty easy for some of you and new for the rest of you. But it's really kind of fun. It's very organic and kind of reminds me of I guess like grass or it could also look like fringe. So let's get started. I just have a white tile and something to draw around circle with, which is optional. You don't need to draw a circle. Um, I'm using Pigma Micron PN today, which has the plastic nib. That's what the PN stands for. I have a number 2 pencil, a tortillon, and also have a gel pen in kind of a copper color, and that is optional as well. All right, let's get started. I am going to I am going to use the circle as my shape to place bumper inside. You could use any shape that you'd like. You could use a triangle, a square, but I think it looks kind of cool inside of a circle. So I'm using tape and drawing a circle around the inside with a pencil. And then I'm going to set that aside and my pencil aside. And I'm going to pick up my PN. Now, this does have the plastic nib, so it's a lot like the Apprentice pen. Very, very similar. For bumper, we are working on the inside of the shape you chose. And you're just going to pick a point anywhere along that shape. I'm going to start at the bottom actually and pick a point. And I'm going to start by drawing a line to the right, but to the right and towards the center, just like that. And then you can make this a point, but I'm going to kind of make it more of like a blade. And I'm going to aura along here till I come back to my circle, float along my circle, and loop back like that. At this point, we're using the hollow ball method. We're going to pick up our pen, travel over to the other side, and continue on. Make another line at the top that kind of matches this one. And then come back to our circle or whatever shape it is. Come back to your pencil line. And we are just going to continue that all the way around. So picking up where I left off at this point, go back to the right, make my little top there, my little roof, come back to the pencil line, travel along it, loop back, jump over the previous one, put our little cap on, come back down. And this, we're always doing an aura of the previous line there. Rotate your tile as needed and just keep going. So from this point, off to the right, put a little cap on, aura along that line till you get to your pencil line. Follow the pencil line, loop back, jump over Continue on, a little cap, and aura back down. So we're alternating between these kind of V shapes and following along the line. So once you get going, you really don't need to, it's actually almost like one continuous line, except for when you jump over. Do you rotate a little bit? Come to the point. I'm going to show you one with, instead of a flat top there, let's do one that's a point and just come back down. So that's kind of a variation of it, and you can choose what you'd like to do. I'm going to go back to the flat tops because I do like to keep them consistent. And just keep rotating around. Once in a while, when I come down here, instead of a V, sometimes I'll travel along that a little bit, and that's fine. You can even put them behind other ones like that. So you can do all sorts of things with this. And it goes pretty fast once you get the hang of it. So you can really get into like a flow state, just going back and forth and really trust the process and relax. We're coming back over to where we started. At this point, I'm kind of looking ahead to see how much space I have left. There's not a lot of space, but we can fit them in there. So I'm going to put this one behind our first set here. Come around, finish this up, make that a little shorter. And then this is our last one. So I jump back over and come back to that point there. So it would really be kind of difficult to tell where I started from, because it just all kind of matches up. Once you have your little, it's almost like grass or like fringe, but to make it a little more organic, Bumper includes some orbs, which I find really, really interesting. So you can make your orbs, you can attempt to make them the same size, or you can vary the size of your little orbs. So I'm just gonna, for starters, put one in here, just an orb, and I like to go over it 2 times if I can. And I'm gonna add some more of those. just full orbs. Let's tuck one in here. This one's a little bit hidden behind that one. That's fine. Rotate around. Um, let's put one in here. So I'm just randomly rotating and adding orbs where I feel an orb would be appreciated. Let's add another one there. Once you fill those in, you can do like let's do like a part of an orb here. So this would kind of be like hidden a little bit. We can rotate around and do, let's see where there's some space. Let's put one kind of in here. That would be tucked in there. And then we could do one on this side like that. This one might continue a little over to here. So we're placing the orb kind of behind our little blades of grass. And once you've placed enough of those, what I like to do to take it a step further is to tuck in some orbs like in these areas here. And these will be smaller for me. So I like to vary the size of the orbs and the locations of them. All right, let's see. And maybe we want to have one here like that. So we have something that looks like this. I do feel like my center is a little bit plain. So I am going to add, add another little area of bumper inside. And I'm going to pencil in for you just a tiny, tiny little circle. I don't usually put that in, but I'm going to put that in so you can visualize what I'm doing. And I'm going to put in the bumper just off of this center. So this is roughly the center. All right. And then I'm going to just pick a point. And again, I'm going to go kind of off to the right, but more straight. Make our little blade. And at this point, because we don't have a lot of space around this tiny little circle, it's just going to be another point, like a V shape. Come back around. That I'm going to rotate. So we don't have space to really travel along our little circle, so it just comes back to that point. Pick up where you left off. And we'll see how many we can fit in there. Not too many. It's just not a lot of space, but I think we could probably do squish one more in there, one more set. Like that. So we have some interest in the center here. And then we can add little orbs in that too for fun. Let's put one in here. And then we'll do one in here. that. And once we add a little bit of color, optional color, we can see if we need more. Right now I'm going to keep it with that. That looks pretty cool. I am going to trade out my pen at the moment for my pencil, and I'm going to do shading before I ink in my little orbs. You could, if you're using black, you could ink in your orbs right now, but because I have a metallic gel pen and they tend to take a little longer to dry, I'm going to add the color last. All right, so we have our number two pencil, and we want to add a little bit of shading anywhere. Um, I'm just going to do it right now on the bottom side of where this is on top and this part's under. You want to get the shading on that part where it's underneath. So to keep things simple, I'm just going around and doing the same spot on each of these. Like that. And then I am going to do the same thing in our center here, adding a little bit of shading in those areas. Like that. And then I'm going to go back in and I am actually going to shade along because we have that pencil line there. So I am actually going to shade. I'm just going to add some graphite along the pencil line there. I'm using light pressure in case you're wondering. And in the corners, I could probably add a little more shading here. Just because when we use our tortillon, we're gonna draw that out. Just take your time making your way all the way around. Like that. And then I also want to add some shading kind of around this piece here. So I'm actually going to go in these little um, spaces here and add some shading. Uh, just like it's kind of coming out of the center a bit. That. We'll see if that's enough. We can always add more. So we have that. And then we're going to take our tortillon. And this time I'm going to start from the center and work my way out. So it's just a light back and forth motion here. Kind of going backwards from how we put the graphite on. I'm starting from the center here. And then I need to go back in and get these little areas here that were behind her other blades of grass. Then I'm going to come in here and do these areas first, just drawing them downwards a little bit. Just keeping it really simple. So I would say right now this is like medium graphite. They do it a little darker so it shows up better for you at home. Um, Once we have that finished, then we can start going in along our pencil line. So you start right at the pencil line and going back and forth, but at the same time drawing it outwards. Or if you're working with it like this, you want to draw it towards you. So it's just gentle back and forth and then drawing it out. And sometimes we do have to go back in and add a little more graphite. Um, we'll just see what we get. Keep rotating. Because we're drawing it out all the way to the edge, be sure to wash your hands afterwards because you'll be getting some graphite on your fingers. Um, so just keep pulling it out. If you need to add a little more graphite, go back in with the pencil and then draw that out again. So right now we have something like this. We can do, take that a little step further if you want, and you could actually blend this all together and take that up like that. So it just gives you a little more dimension, and I'm not really going in with a pencil because there's plenty of graphite on my tortillon already. So we're just blending this graphite together and then taking it up there. You can do all these fun things with shading. I often say shading's my favorite part. I think shading's probably totally underrated. But you can have your own favorite part. Coming around, and that goes pretty quickly. So we're literally just bringing the shading up into this part. And we can do that a little bit with these as well. Not too much because I do want them to stand out. So I'm going to leave that like that. So now I'm going to go back in. One thing that you can do, and this is again optional before we um, ink in our orbs. So if you're using black, you want to probably just ink that in right now. But if you're using another type of gel pen, a different color, you could, for example, ink these in black. So there's these little tiny little spaces here, and because I am going in with a gel pen, which is a contrasting color, I am just inking in these little spaces. If you are making your orbs black, you do not need to ink in these spaces. This is just optional. That. And I think I made it all the way around. So it's just optional, it gives it a little more drama. Now I'm going to take my gel pen, or you might be using a colored pencil, and I am just going to ink these in. Like this. Not forget these center ones. I'm going to backtrack here because I forgot this one kind of tucked down in here. It's kind of an odd one. Rotate around, keep going. Down at my last one. All right, so that's our cute little bumper. If you would like, you could take colored pencil and actually add color to these little fronds. And I guess we could do that. Let me see if I have something. Okay, I have to go in with a green really quickly. So let's start with this one on the inside, like that. And I am not pressing at all. I just want like a little touch of color. And you can decide if you want to do this or not. You can decide if you want to add color or not after watching me do it. And then the same here. You can just add a little touch of color. And here's where you can decide, like, do you just want to add it to these ones on the top here, which actually is kind of cool. And I might just leave it at that. Since the other ones are shaded, do you want to just leave it as these top ones? And I'm kind of thinking, yeah. Oh, Benji. Oh, my puppy. He's hungry. I kind of like it like that with just the half of it colored in. Kind of blends in a little bit here. I kind of like that, actually. And I think I'm going to leave it like that. Um, but you could continue on and add color um, to the ones we shaded as well. And then you could continue your color on to the outside. It's just all a matter of preference, really. And that's what I love about Zentangle is that you can completely personalize it and do variations and make it your own sort of like with how you mix and match tangles together and try new things with shading. No two are going to look alike. You totally get to explore your creativity. All right, I'm going to add my initials. So you want to find a place to add your chop. And I'm just trying to think like, where would I want to do this? I think I'm going to tuck it in here. I'm just going to put in, here's my N and my H right in there, just tucked in there. All right, we're going to flip this over because I think my gel pen is dry or mostly dry. So I'm going to be very careful just to set it flat. And we've got our weekly tangle. This is, I think we're on 14 and it's 2025. And let's see, the date is the 26th. And this is Bumper by Zentangle, which is, like I said, Bumper is really like half of Locar. When we do Locar, we do the same blades of grass, but on the outside, and there's no orbs. There could be, but I mean, the actual Tangle doesn't have orbs in the step out, but Bumper does. So play around with Bumper, have some fun with it. You can, like I said, fit it inside any shape that you want and play around with it because we've got this fun little splotch of blades of grass in the center as well. All right, have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for your patience as I recover. I'm making good progress. It's just sometimes you cannot rush things. And it's a good reminder to just take time to be in the moment and relax and enjoy. All right, thank you so much. Take care, and remember, I love you guys. Bye.